Hello, my friends. Jacob's here once again. Thank you for pressing that play button, for spending a little time with me. We're going to get into some outer space type stuff, some spooky comets, and all sorts of things that I've been talking about for a long time. In fact, the very video that made my channel go viral has to do with all of this outer space type stuff. If space even exists. Some people say it doesn't exist. Other people say we're in a simulation. Who knows? But for now, we're going to look at this very spiritually. There's a devil comet. It's called the Devil Comet. Yeah, that's right. I've talked about the Devil Comet. It went by another name. And the name was the Millennial Falcon. You know, like Star Wars. The Millennial Falcon. I looked up what the falcon was, and it's the symbol of Horus, the ancient gods from Egypt and all that stuff. Very interesting. Millennial, which is 1,000 years. 1,000 years, which I've been talking about on the channel quite a bit. 1,000 years, like I did, I don't know, almost a month ago, and then like a week and a half ago, and then 4 days ago. I've been talking about 1,000 years. Why? Because in the Bible, they have this thing in the New Testament. It's called the millennial reign. It's like 1,000 years that Christ reigns. But it's very peculiar because dates and times in Scripture, they're up for a little interpretation. Like, for example, in God's eyes, a day is like 1,000 years. So who knows? But this 1,000 years that I've been talking about, I think it's something that we're entering into. Maybe already did. And I told everybody that it was perhaps going to be a time that was going to be a little stressful. So as I'm talking about 1,000 years and everything else, Donald Trump comes out with a video which was strange, about 1,000 years of darkness. Interesting. I did a little short. Check it out. Donald Trump just released a video warning everybody about 1,000 years of darkness. Same thing that I talked about exactly 22 months ago, about the 1,000 years of darkness that's to come, the rule of Satan, which I talked about 4 days ago on a show, and I also talked about yesterday on a show. And that killing stone opening up after 1,000 years, releasing what they call the nine-tailed fox demon, which brings a judgment on the earth. Devil being released for a little bit of time. And now all of a sudden, what Donald Trump's warning everybody about 1,000 years of darkness? That's sus.
We'll preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness. The last step into 1,000 years of darkness. 1,000 years of darkness.
Opening up after 1,000 years. So you see how I could be a little interested in all of this Devil Comet that it's now been renamed. And why was it renamed that? Well, because, and I've talked about this in the past, because it exploded and it was fired up and it was going crazy. And actually last year, June, I think it was 24th, it was very close to the Earth. And supposedly it's going to be close once again. Ironically, it's going to be close around the time of that second eclipse, the Great American Eclipse, that we've been talking about on April 8th, 2024. They actually, perihelion for it is actually April 21st, I think, 2024. So it's interesting because, of course, this comet has a lot of symbolism to it. So much so that I talked about it just a couple of months ago. If not the alien invasion, if not like the last show that I did with the demons that are released on the world and the people that are on planes that are getting possessed and acting crazy, and people are saying that they're shapeshifters among us. If not for the fact that all of that's happening, maybe this would create more of a stir. We got aliens to worry about now. Right? So don't be stressed because I'm telling you, more and more of these stories are coming out, and I'm not saying that the stories aren't true. I'm not saying that people aren't passing away from this or having terrible incidents of I'm not saying that it's not true, but I am saying stop worrying about it. Stop worrying. Put your hands in God. What's done is done, right? The devil spelled backwards is lived, people. And I'm telling you, I think that they're gonna really put the gas down. They're gonna try to get everybody thinking that everybody's possessed by secret aliens that are invading and that everybody's dying. And I'll tell you one thing we should really be worried about a comet that's going to be coming, and it's going to be very close to the Earth, 144 million miles from the Earth. That number alone gets me to, think, wow, that's cool. On the day of the second American eclipse, the Great American Eclipse that makes the X, right? We're talking about the X app. So I say to myself, that comet's something interesting. Any comet that's attached to that second eclipse has my attention, because I don't know if you know this or not. I don't know how long you've been on the channel. And by the way, if you're new, will you please hit the subscribe button? It's so important. And then hit that bell for notifications so you can keep up and just check. I do a video like almost every day, like every other day at least. Don't wait to be reminded. Just come back and see what's on the plate. What's at Jacob's well? And then come and have a drink, and then make sure you leave with Christ. My channel that's been around since the beginning, I think it's 2008, I've been doing this, I've been sharing. It went viral because of a dream that I had about about planet Nibiru and the system and the stuff that's coming in. And, for whatever reason, that's what basically launched my channel. I had one viral video that really just reached millions of people and made the newspaper. It freaked me out so much I deleted it. And then what happened was the very next video that I did, when I was like, I'm not going to be scared about this anymore, Lord. And I started talking about how they're going to be talking about aliens. Aliens going to be the next thing. And I said, there's going to be a bunch of comets and a bunch of things bouncing around. It's going to be spooky. Last night, I have a terrible dream where I'm at the emergency room, a building much like this, which is really disturbing. And we're there for Ethan. And in the dream, basically, I really start seeing meteors flying. And and it was almost like it looked like scary times were coming because of this. I don't know. I know it's as crazy as it sounds, Jonah, when he didn't want to share, he didn't want to say, oh, hey, I'm going to talk about aliens now. I don't even believe in aliens. I'm supposed to tell you about that. So long story short, I had this terrible dream. Told everybody that was going to probably happen around 2024, which was the end of that X, that arc. So the fact that there's this comet that they're saying there's a chance it could explode on that day, because this is an exploding comet, right? Which they're calling, by the way, the Star Wars comet, the Millennial Falcon comet, right? Because it exploded or something, and now it's traveling like 5 times faster or something, and now it looks like the Millennial Falcon. And so I think to myself, oh my goodness, because this is the way my mind works. Isn't there like an Egyptian god that looks like a falcon? So I type it in, and of course it's Horus. So I put this tweet out there, right there, this tweet right there. I put this out on Twitter. I'm sorry, I put this Zeet out there on Zitter, on the X app. And Horus is known to be a falcon. So they're calling it the Millennial Falcon, right? So a millennial is 1,000 years. So I'm thinking, okay, you got the millennial reign of Christ, you got the millennial return. So people are waiting they always ask, what's the X? Is it Osiris? Is it this? It's Osiris, it's Christ, it's so many other things. It's also Degeneration X, if you watched WWE back in the day when I was there. Not my idea, by the way. But this giant comet the size of Halley's Comet, now displaying this horseshoe-type shape, is it's due to possibly, and it could possibly explode again, closest to the Earth than it's ever been. On the night of the eclipse, you want to talk about something that you should concern yourself about, don't let it be that. Because there's nothing we can do about any of that stuff. But I can say that could be a reason why the world is getting more and more tight-knit and want to really control us, because if they think something's coming, maybe this is the way they handle it. I don't know. But I do know, I find it strange that the fact that they're naming it the Millennial Falcon, millennial is 1,000 years, and 1,000, of course, my idea is like, hey, I bet you it's the number or the letter X. And guess what? In Greek, it's the letter X. So the X everywhere, right? At the X on the eclipse, you got the 1,000-year comet, the Millennial Comet coming in. to a theater near you. That's the way things are today. Wow. So as you, of course, saw, the fact that I had this, kooky dream and I had all this weird stuff happen and, all the weird things that we've talked about over the years and how it's all coming to a head. It's all coming to a head at the end of this eclipse that I could be so excited and so blown away. But am I worried that there's going to be some, terrible disaster where there's going to be a bunch of asteroids and everything else like it happened in my dream? Many times in dreams, and this is something that I actually may be doing in the future, maybe even on Patreon. Right now I'm doing these little things called daily, I call them daily breadcrumbs. And it's just like little stuff that I can share really quick. Like today I shared something there about booby traps. If you're on Patreon, you know what I'm talking about. But in the future, I may actually even do shows there where I can do a dream interpretation. Stuff that a little bit extra that I give to the people that, financially support the channel, whether it's like $1, $5, $20, whatever. You can do whatever you want. It means a lot to me because I wouldn't be able to do any of these shows. But many times in dreams, the stuff that's actually happening doesn't mean that it's going to literally happen in the world. Unfortunately, we know because of all the dreams that I've shared, a lot of stuff does happen. So, there's always the room for the fact that it could happen. In the grand scheme of things, I think God's in control, which is strange because, you think about this big event where they talk about the beast in Revelation. What ends up happening is the dragon's kind of released after this 1,000-year reign of Christ, and it's released, and it's gonna take over, and it's gonna make war, and it's gonna be a big spooky thing. But what ends up happening is the heavens open up with fire, and fire rains down from heaven and consumes it. Really, what this means to me is there's, the day that we're in right now, God is going to open the heavens in our minds and our heart, and the truth that love is the most important thing it's going to scorch the earth, and it's going to burn up all those tears, all the lies and the hate and all that stuff that's within us to begin with. It's going to get rid of it so that we can actually be free from this devil once and for all. So the fact that it's a 1,000-year comet and it's called the Devil's Comet, and then it's it's coming on the eclipse and all the 1,000-year talk, it's something that I find interesting. But I will say, there is a comet that was lost. My favorite TV show when I was younger, Lost. You know that show? In the comment section, tell me if you liked Lost. I always liked, what's his name, from The Island. The guy who played Jesus in the Gospel of John? I like that guy a lot. Desmond was his name. Desmond, he always says, hey, brother, how you doing, brother? I don't know if you ever watched Lost, you probably dig that. But there's a comet that was discovered in 2007, and they call it the Lost Asteroid. How funny is that? That at the same time that all this stuff has happened, we got a lost asteroid that's coming too. The Lost, right? The Lost Tribes of Israel. What is a comet? But a heavenly body that's, a wayward heavenly body. And they're calling it the Lost One. Why? Because it was discovered in 2007. And then it had a day and a half while they were trying to track it, and then they slipped through their fingers. So their latest tolls and their latest little mathematics say that this comet could be coming on October 3rd, 2024. And why is this weird to me? Because Noah, my son Noah, the flood, we've been talking about that a lot, right, lately, the flood. Well, he's October 4th. So if there was ever a comet, they say this is probably one of the closest. It's the 4th on NASA's list of possible public enemies. The only asteroids more likely to hit planet Earth are 1950 DA, 1975 XB, and Bennu. Bennu, right? The phoenix, the bird, the destruction and the resurrection. The Bennu bird. The Bennu bird is supposed to hit us. That's another one. They just sent out, remember the OSIRIS-REx mission? They sent out the thing to collect the sample, and they brought it back, and the sample said, oh, we've never seen anything like this. It's so weird. And when they also landed, they smashed a bunch of rocks, and the rocks went crazy. And I told everybody that was going to probably happen, and they weren't expecting it. It's like, come on, people. But they say if there's ever one that could be, something to worry about, they say that would be the one. That would be the one. Don't worry about these things. I think the symbolism is just fantastic. And I hope that you feel like this show was fantastic. And if you do, will you do me a favor? Will you hit the like button for me? Will you subscribe? Will you share the channel around? Will you get involved? If you go to the, if you go basically to the bottom of this video where the description is, you'll see the title and everything. You click on it and it says, and then click on it again, it says more, and it'll open up and you got all the links to everything. Like if you want to get the God's Champion, right? That 1,000 years, you got God's Champion, you got the Devil's Champion. Then, you know, what ends up happening is everything works together for the good and then God wins in the end. There may be a small remnant of people right now that are kind and loving and everything else, but I'm telling you, corruption has seen its day. My next video that I got prepared for all of you, it's going to show you that. So you should be excited. You should be thanking God and praising God, and you should never fear. So, you know, thank you for what you do. If you want, you can get a copy of the novel. I'm going to play the trail. Do me a favor, okay? Because this is a big thing on YouTube is people, you know, click out when they know that the video's coming to an end. If you want, stick around. Stick around and just watch that trailer one more time. And tell me if this novel wasn't written for this day. And you can get it, of course, on Amazon. That's probably the best place. I got over 1,000 reviews. It helps out. I love you, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
September 10th. Mars hangs closer to the Earth than it has in 6,000 years. Like the light that led men from the East to a child in a manger, it could well be a sign of good things to come. Thomas James shall be his name. The world will change because of him. In the small town of Bethel, in a time not unlike our own, a child with a great purpose is born. Years later, alienated by his peers and abused, Thomas suffers a devastating loss. When it appears he has nothing left to live for in the world, this is when his true calling begins. While trying to escape the sinister powers that be, a terrifying vision haunts him. Miraculous events seem to follow the peculiar young man as he struggles to come to terms with what he was born to do. The stage is set. The time is at hand. The truth will rise and a revolution will begin. The startling revelation of who Thomas James is, truly, will change the lives of those around him and set off a chain of events long ago foretold. There is more to this novel than one might think. Inside these pages hides a treasure just waiting to be discovered. So if you've ever wondered if there's more to life, or why it is we suffer, then this story will not only captivate you, it may just open your eyes to a truth that could set you free. Find out what is in us all that makes us heed the calling